Reading from Job 38, the first 7 verses, and verses 34 through 41. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind. Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up your loins like a man. I will question you, and you shall declare to me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? On what were its bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone when the morning stars sang together and all the heavenly beings shouted for joy? Can you lift up your voice to the clouds so that the flood of waters may cover you? Can you send forth lightnings so that they may go and say to you, here we are? Who has put wisdom in the inward parts or given understanding to the mind? Who has the wisdom to number the clouds? Or who can tilt the waterskins of the heavens when the dust runs into a mass and the clods cling together? Can you hunt the prey for the lion, or satisfy the appetite of the young lions when they crouch in their dens or lie in wait in their covert? Who provides for the raven its prey, and when its young ones cry to God and wander about for lack of food? The word of God for the people of God. So most of you probably know that our Old Testament scriptures are kind of lumped in some ways in categories, right? We've got the Torah, the law, a section of the prophets. What I'm talking about today is an overview of the section that's referred to as the wisdom literature. Ecclesiastes, Proverbs. Probably your favorite of the wisdom literature is the Proverbs, because they are short, easy to remember, fun. Some of them are. Some of them are actually funny. And they are laid out in 31 chapters. So if some of y'all done this, read one proverb a day, every day of the month. They're laid out wonderfully. I mentioned that they can sometimes be funny, always timeless, true. Proverbs 14:4. If you don't have any oxen, at least your barn is clean. Well, that's kind of fun. So most believe that Proverbs was written primarily for children, kind of a primer, right? To teach lessons of right and wrong, wisdom for living, be nice, tell the truth. And every culture has proverbs. They are truth statements, but they paint these broad strokes about how we hope our children will live in the world, and so we pass them on. Thanks to Benjamin Franklin, America has her own body of literature. A stitch in time saves 9. The early bird gets the worm. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. All of those are proverbs. Proverbs are these pithy little statements that are easy to remember so that they can be easy to pass from generation to generation. And the ancient Hebrew culture was mostly a pre-literate era. So in order to pass on the wisdom of the people, you had to do it in these simple little nuggets, easy to remember, so that when you're out working in the field or in the wood shop, you can say, son, a generous person will prosper, but whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Or in all ways, acknowledge him, submit to him, and he will direct your paths. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Son, the path of righteousness is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. It is better to dwell in the corner of a housetop than with a contentious woman in a wide house. Melissa, I don't make these up, I just report them. Thus saith the Lord. Proverbs are true, but the problem is that Proverbs aren't always true. American proverb, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Except that sometimes healthy people who eat well and do jumping jacks and take the stairs, sometimes those people drop dead at age 35. Right? Biblical proverb, a gentle answer turns away wrath. Except sometimes you give a gentle answer and get your head torn off, right? Proverbs are true, except for when they're not true. So, if Proverbs represents the elementary school of wisdom literature, then the book of Job is the graduate school. The story of Job challenges the childhood proverbs because sometimes bad things happen anyway. Sometimes the path of the righteous is not like the morning sun shining ever brighter. Sometimes the path of the righteous is downright brutal. Now, most of the time, doing what is right means that good results and positive outcomes will happen. The proverb is true most of the time. But sometimes life serves up the exception to the rule. So how does our faith handle that? How are we to understand God when things seem capricious and even cruel? So, our Bible gives us the gift of the book of Job. Now, the person Job in the story is described early as being blameless and upright. His life is abundant and successful in every way that we count. Part of what I love about preaching to a mature congregation is that I can use illustrations that are very, very dated, and you'll get it. So, do you remember the TV show Dallas? See, I told you you would. So that's Job, right? That's what his life looks like. He's got a wife and 10 children and land beyond what the eye can take in. He's got cattle and a pool house and straight teeth and every external comfort and every symbol of success and an 8-car garage. And then all of a sudden, catastrophe strikes again, doesn't let up. Foreign bandits come and steal most of his flocks and herds. A tornado strikes the house, kills the children. Then his own health starts to fail. Family gone, success shattered, flat broke, and on top of this, he's got boils all over his body. And part of the brilliance of this story is that all of our collective pain is found somewhere in here, right? I mean, whatever heartache you brought in here, and everybody's carrying something, whatever you brought into the room is likely covered in Job's story. Health issues, grief, financial ruin. He even has a disagreement with his spouse, just in case anybody wasn't covered there, right? All of it is in this one story. Well, in the midst of his crisis, 3 of his friends come to offer their care. And they do. They are trying to care for their friend Job. And it was a faithful act for them to show up. And the truth is, they did a fabulous job of providing care to their friend for 7 days. Because for 7 days, they didn't open up their mouth. It was only when they spoke that they messed up. The three friends couldn't understand Job's plight because they still carried their elementary school theology. They had not yet grown past the simplistic theology of their childhood. The book of Proverbs says, "A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." And Job, what'd you do wrong? You're not prospering. So obviously, you did something wrong. The Proverbs say, "In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." Then Job, where did you stop submitting to God? Because this isn't a straight path, buddy. Obviously, you've done something to mess up. Proverbs says, "The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day." Well, Job, it's pretty clear you turned your back on God. Because look at you. Is this brighter than the full light of day? I don't think so. So what terrible sin have you committed that's caused all of this to happen? Well, Job finds this infuriating. He knows he hadn't done anything to deserve this turn of events. And increasingly, he gets more and more frustrated with his friends, angrier and angrier with God. And the book of Job doesn't hold back, just lets us know about his anger. I'm quoting now. "Then know that God has wronged me. Even when I call out, 'I have been wronged,' I am not answered. I call aloud, but there is no justice." Here's another response. "I cry out to you, God, but you do not answer me. I stand up, but you merely look at me." You see why this is such a mature and difficult book, right? It is true that goodness begets goodness. It is true that righteous living results in sunshine, except when it's not true. The contentious wife thing might always be true. I don't know. Y'all can push back if you need to. But most of you have lived long enough to have known seasons of deep pain. And you know that the shallow offerings from friends don't always help. They can sometimes be infuriating. I mean, your distress is at an all-time high, and somebody quotes back to you something they saw cross-stitched on a pillow at Cracker Barrel. You have done enough living to know that the simple proverbs are not always right. Sometimes life just isn't fair. She's 27 years old, 2 young children, married 5 years. His deployment was supposed to end in February, and now she's a widow, standing under a green funeral tent. Life isn't always fair. She was PTA president, Yard of the Month, leads children's choir at First United Methodist Church, chair of the missions committee. Now she's sitting in a hospital gown on crinkly white paper, and here's what might possibly be the ugliest word in the English language: malignant. Job says, "Don't come at me with some cliche about God's will. Don't you dare wrap my pain in some elementary school theology. Don't tell me that only good things happen to good people." Job's aggravated. He's aggravated with his friends who keep offering up these simple quotes that they saw on a mug at the Christian bookstore. Job is furious with God, and he shakes his fist toward heaven and says, "God has wronged me." Now, I won't ask for a show of hands. Some of us have been there. Well, finally, after 37 chapters of calamity, after 37 chapters of simplistic theology, after 37 chapters of Job's implication that God is unjust and capricious and savage, God answers. Well, that's not exactly right. God speaks, God does not answer. Unlike the friends of Job, God gives no reason, no answer, no account. Instead, God responds with a list of questions for Job. I'm going to read part of that list again, but this time from the J.B. Phillips translation. I have some questions for you, and I want some straight answers. Where were you when I created the earth? Tell me, since you know so much. Who decided on its size? Certainly you'll know that. Who came up with the blueprints and the measurements? How was its foundation poured? Who set the cornerstone while the morning stars sang in chorus and all the angels shouted praise? Can you get the attention of the clouds and commission a shower of rain? Can you take charge of the lightning bolts and have them report to you for orders? God responds by saying, who do you think you are? God's love expands across the whole of creation, and we're looking out one little tiny window. Job has this limited perspective on the creation and order of the world, and God has stewardship of it all. I love this quote that I heard attributed to Frederick Buechner about this story. Buechner said, explaining these events, he said, God explaining these events to Job would be kind of like us trying to explain Einstein's theory of relativity to a small-necked crab. How is it that we think we get to comprehend and categorize the mind and will and grace of God? Job's insistence that he get answers and satisfaction is based on his own sense of fairness and greatness. His questions orient the universe toward him. Job needs answers. Job needs justice. God's not doing right by Job. Job needs to regain his sense of control. But this is God's world, not ours. We're the small-necked crabs. And while Job shakes his fist and demands answers, God reminds Job that it is God who commissions the rain from the clouds and God who causes the lightning to report. It is worth remembering, it is worth noting that God does not reprimand Job's anger. Honest and intimate relationships always have room for anger. But it's also worth noting that God has not abandoned Job. God doesn't answer, but God stays engaged in the relationship. God's response from the whirlwind may not offer as much satisfaction as we demand, but withholding answers is not the same thing as withholding relationship. I was on a conference call, Bible study, something thing that included the president of, he was then president of Princeton Seminary, Craig Barnes. He's written a good many books. And anyway, he was dealing with this passage, and I wrote this quote in my notebook on the Zoom call. Dr. Barnes said, "We have to let the why questions be asked, knowing that it isn't going to be answered, but we have to allow for the question." Then he said this: But when Job received an answer to the who question, he was able to let go of the why question. Somehow, in the presence of God's wonder, the size of God's mystery was enough. And in the final chapter of this story, Job answers back to the Holy One and says this: I know that you can do all things. I have uttered what I did not understand. I had heard of you, but now my eye sees you, and therefore I repent. I had heard of you, but now I've experienced your presence, and it was enough. Somehow for Job, the presence, the encounter with the who was enough for him to let go of the why. Most of the time, life is fair. Most of the time, people who work hard get rewarded. People who eat well stay healthy. People who follow the paths of righteousness follow those paths right into sunshine. But Job reminds us that sometimes this is not true. And some hardship demands a more muscular faith. Our vacation Bible school theology is the foundation of our faith. We have to have that to build on, right? But then our faith gets challenged by life's storms. What do you do then? And you and I both know both of these kind of people when they've hit this point. One is the person who thinks it shows a lack of faith to get angry or question. And so they just act like Proverbs are always true. And it doesn't sound quite honest. They offer up these pious-sounding substitutes for a deeper faith. They say things like, oh, God is so good to give me this bankruptcy. And something about that just doesn't, because they fear it would sound unfaithful to be angry. There's another group of people who just stop believing altogether. They say, well, if the Proverbs aren't always true, there must not be a God. They hit the first rough storm and say, I'm out. This isn't all true. But there is another model. Job offers another model. Honest with his anger, willing to wrestle with his theology, Job moves from why to who. I had heard of you, but now I've encountered you. Mature faith reaches beyond our need for answers and clings to the one who controls the tides and the thunder. We hold on to the one who set the world on its foundation, and our lives rest in the great mystery until the storm is over. And we trust that God is caring for all of creation, and that includes us. Thanks be to God.